we got our first look at Anthony Ippolito, who's going to be playing Sylvester Stallone in I Play Rocky, and it is stunning, you guys. I am so hyped for that movie. But not only that, we got a really interesting report coming from Trailer Tracker, and they're being told that we're going to get a first look teaser at Spider-Man Brand New Day attached to Avatar Fire and Ash, which is really interesting. I don't know if I fully believe that, but we'll jump into that. And the last topic of the video, you guys, Crystal Lake, the Peacock series. They're going to be jumping back into Friday the 13th. And the showrunner has now confirmed that they had officially wrapped production on that show. I can't wait to jump into that, you guys. I am very interested in a prequel series dating back to the original film, which we'll jump into. Now, I Play Rocky is really interesting to me. Really interesting. Let's cover that second. Let's talk Spider-Man first. So Spider-Man Brand New Day, right? Trailer Tracker. I don't know what their track record is for, the authenticity and the accuracy of their reports. But like I stated, they're reporting that Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to have a teaser attached to Avatar Fire and Ash. Now, there were the reports that Avengers Doomsday will also have a teaser attached to Avatar Fire and Ash, the biggest film of 2025. You want all eyes on your trailers, especially during the holiday season, to be attached to Avatar Fire and Ash. Hell, I wouldn't even put it past James Gunn and DC Studios to have something small for, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow attached to Avatar Fire and Ash. It is a massive film and easily a $2 billion movie, especially overseas and internationally. It's going to be a juggernaut of a film. So Spider-Man Brand New Day, they're still shooting this film. They're not done shooting. Doomsday wrapped filming a couple of weeks ago, but apparently they're going to be headed back for reshoots and additional photography. I just don't know when that's going to happen. But for Spider-Man Brand New Day to have a teaser trailer, sort of like what, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey did, earlier this summer, attached to, I think it was like Mission Impossible, something along the lines. I don't know what film it was attached to, but when they released that teaser trailer, damn near almost, a year and a half in advance, it brought hype. Everybody was hyped, after that teaser trailer. They even dropped exclusive IMAX tickets for next year, which sold out like that. That's insane to me, that Christopher Nolan has that kind of power with the Odyssey. I mean, coming fresh off his Oscar win for Oppenheimer, I think it's a brilliant idea. Tom Holland is going to be starring in the Odyssey as well. So he sees this. He's probably spoken to Christopher Nolan and probably how to, to do a better job marketing, because I do believe Tom Holland might have producing credit on Spider-Man Brand New Day. I don't know how his contract works, but, I think it's a brilliant idea to have something like the Odyssey in the vein of a teaser trailer attached to Avatar Fire and Ash. Even though that this film is not out until next summer, why not? Yeah, it comes out less than a year. So I think it would be a brilliant idea. Now, I don't know what they would show, but, they can put something together. They've been shooting for the last, 2 to 3 months for Spider-Man. So I'm pretty sure they have at least something edited, something with some visual effects jotted down for a teaser trailer attached to Avatar Fire and Ash. But like I said, this is coming from Trailer Tracker. I don't know if we can, believe this, report to its nth degree, but it's going to be interesting to see what trailers and teasers are attached to Avatar in December. It's going to be absolutely insanity. Now, you guys, moving on to the next topic, I Play Rocky. Now, when this was announced, I was really intrigued by this. If you guys don't know the story of how Sylvester Stallone got that film made, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And, ended up winning an Oscar and, pillared his career. How many Rocky films did he do? They were 5 Rocky films or 6 Rocky films and 3 Creed films, all coming after that first original Rocky film. And so we have some set photos of Anthony Ippolito. I believe I pronounced his name, but it's so identical to Sly. It literally looks like a younger version of him. He's running with his dog, which is an interesting backstory about his dog. He had to sell his dog because he was enduring some extremely difficult hardships earlier in his career. For $40, he sold his dog. Rocky was a smash hit. He sold a screenplay. He was looking all over for his dog. Ended up buying his dog back. The guy nickel and dimed him, which is a straight up asshole move. He bought his dog back for $15,000. Keep that in mind. This was in the 70s. So that was a lot of money. A lot of money. So you see in the set photo, Anthony running along with his, the dog, which the dog does appear in every single Rocky film because, that was his dog. That was Sly's dog. That's like family. People and their dogs. I mean, it's like a family member, They grow so attached to these, these animals, and it's a beautiful thing, honestly. They become like a son or a daughter. It's absolutely awesome. But I'm excited. The upcoming Amazon MGM Studio film is a biographical drama that tells the story of Sylvester Stallone's struggle to write and star in the original 1976 Rocky film. I already said Anthony Ippolito is going to be playing a young Rocky. Stephan James will actually portray, Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed. Fun fact, I named my son, who's 5 years old, Apollo, because of the Rocky films. The Rocky films are so near and dear to my heart. I just love the first two films so much. I mean, I see myself so much in Rocky, the underdog. Every time I watch the first two Rocky films, I tear up, I cry. It means the world to me. So you can only imagine how excited I am about this film, honestly. But the plot focuses on Stallone's fight to play the lead role on his own screenplay, turning down offers of life-changing money to keep the part for himself, which ultimately benefited him. He believed in himself. The studios didn't. The underdog story. So it's the underdog story of making a film about an underdog story of an amateur boxer who's trying to make it, in the big leagues. And he gets the shot of a lifetime fighting Apollo Creed, the world champion. It's awesome. It's an awesome story, and I cannot wait to see this film portrayed to its nth degree. The authenticity of it, I hope Sly is, heavily involved in this. I don't know. I didn't do the research on that, but if you guys know, is Sly, is some kind of an executive producer on this? I want to know what, he is a part of this film, because I would love to see him, a part of this film, like, an Ice Cube was a part of Straight Outta Compton, along with the other original members, or anybody who's, heavily involved in the life and story of a biopic. You want them involved because you want the trueness, you want the authenticity of the story to really come out. You don't want anything to be, mixed up and, not really told the truth. It's just, you don't do the character or that particular person's personal life, you don't do it justice. So I'm hoping Sly does have some kind of connection, attached to this film. But set photos are great. He looks like Rocky, and I cannot wait. And moving on to the final topic, you guys, showrunner Brad Caleb Kane has announced that filming has wrapped for the Camp Crystal Lake show, or Crystal Lake show is what they're calling it. A24 is going to be producing this, and it's going to be a Peacock series. Linda Cardellini is going to be playing Pamela Voorhees, and Cullum Venison is going to be playing a young Jason Voorhees as well. Plot, so far all we know is that the series will explore the backstory of Jason Voorhees and his mother, Pamela Voorhees, prior to the events of the original film in 1980. Now, it's been, reported that we're going to be seeing, much more of a story of Pamela Voorhees and the career that she gave up to raise, Jason Voorhees, who's, we all know Jason Voorhees, right? Heavily disfigured, he bullied a lot, and, with the incident that happens prior, this series will honestly lead directly into the original film, because with the accident happening at Camp Crystal Lake of the drowning of Jason, and that honestly, I wouldn't put it past me if that was like in the middle of this season. And then towards the end of the season, Pamela goes full Pamela Voorhees, and puts on the sweater and just goes after those camp counselors, because that's the death of her son. I can't wait to see how they're going to handle this, man. Honestly, it was always interesting to me to see, Friday the 13th with more projects and more storytelling, because after, the remake in 2008, which I really, really adored and loved, I thought that was a great remake. I wanted more. A lot of fans were yearning for more and what they could do with this franchise. But I'm like, how can you tell this story again? Or how can you jump into more of a depth storytelling with more of the lore, that already exists within this particular world? And what better way, to do it, evolving around Pamela Voorhees and, to see her from a perspective of a parent now, of seeing her struggling, if Jason, he's autistic and he's, like I said, he's heavily disfigured, and, there's so much that, a single parent has to, to do and, cope with. And emotionally, I'm really invested to see where she's mentally, because, if Jason's father's not going to be in the picture, if he shows up for a couple of episodes, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. But, I'm hoping for a relatable, an emotional, presence that, Linda Cardellini is able to deliver, playing Pamela Voorhees, because we didn't get that in the original Friday the 13th film. It was just go mode, with her being the original killer. But we'll see what happens, you guys. You know, hopefully this leads off to many more things, because I want Friday the 13th to continue. You know, he's already been to space, he's been to hell, he's fought Freddy. There's so much they've done with this. He's went to New York, you know, he's fought, you know, a mutant, you know. Honestly, it's absolutely insanity, you know, the amount of storytelling that Friday the 13th has done over the course of 30 to 40 years. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the 3 topics of today's video. Do you think Trailer Tracker is accurate? And do you think that we're going to be getting a first look at Spider-Man Brand New Day attached to Avatar Fire and Ash along with Doomsday? What do you think about the first set photos of I Play Rocky? And any thoughts and opinions on the Camp Crystal Lake series that's going to be streaming on Peacock next year? Let me hear it in the comments down below. And of course, thank you guys for taking time out of your day for watching SeaWorld Productions. Peace.